0 to 35,000 subscribers has been a journey. There's 5 successful points along the way that really contributed to that growth. So today I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit on what those are. So whether you are a fan of the channel, somebody new who just likes learning about YouTube, or maybe an aspiring creator yourself, I've got some stories to share. Plus, as a thank you for all of the support over the years, I have a Q&A at the end featuring some user-submitted questions like, what channel would I have created if it wasn't one about tech? Am I a work travel fraud? And is the lock-picking lawyer actually my dad? All that and more coming up. First, I can't possibly start talking about impactful moments in this channel's history without covering the video, Stop Overpaying for YouTube Premium. This video alone is responsible for over 5,000 of my 35,000 subscribers, which is crazy. The story behind the video was pretty simple. I was subscribed to YouTube Premium for many years and was paying through the Apple App Store. One day, I happened to see an ad or stumble upon the website or something, and I saw that the advertised price for Premium there was lower than what I had been paying. I dug in and learned that it was basically the Apple tax ripping me off. I was super frustrated, and so I hit record. That video got 13,000 views in the first month, which was insane at the time, but then about a month and a half in, it really hit the algorithm and just took off. To date, it has about 750,000 views, which is the highest among all of my long-form videos, and it has spurned a few different related videos about YouTube Premium and Premium Lite on my channel as well. I have 2 interesting stories about this one. First, this video was made kind of in haste. I was annoyed, so I gathered my thoughts, screen recorded the process of unsubscribing and then resubscribing, and made these very limited bullet points. Like, this is literally the only prep I did. These are my actual notes. Today, despite most of the comments being positive, there was definitely a trend of people complaining about my style being slow and not getting to the point, including this one, which my wife and I joke about to this day. The result is that I now rely on scripts and a teleprompter so that I can get the information out in the way that I want without wasting your time. The second anecdote is that this was the first time somebody that I knew in real life stumbled upon one of my videos. Now, at the time, I didn't really tell many people about this little hobby of mine. I only really told my closest circle of friends. But a coworker was watching YouTube on the train, got recommended this video, then got on a Zoom call with me and asked, "Hey, do you make YouTube videos?" So that was a little bit of a weird milestone crossover experience. Next, I want to take you back to the very early days, back before I even had 1,000 subscribers. At this stage, I wasn't even really buying products to review yet, which is a great lesson for early YouTubers, especially aspiring reviewers. Don't get caught up trying to invest a ton of money at the start. For reviews, it's not necessary to acquire the latest and best products. Just review what you already have and what you already use. After all, you hold an advantage with that approach because you really know the product or the topic that you want to talk about, which is much tougher for someone who is exploring it for a limited period of time before moving on to the next product. With this exact thing in mind, back then I reviewed the keyboard that I was using, the Logitech MX Keys. I'd been using it for more than a year and I really loved it. My review was a little bit rambly and unscripted. The function keys and the keys across the top are programmable, but it resonated. The video did well from day one, and it remains one of my top 5 most viewed long-form videos today. It also helped to grow my interest in reviewing keyboards in the first place, which then turned into sort of the bedrock upon which this channel has really been built. Eventually, I actually re-reviewed this keyboard 3 years later, so while it's interesting to see where I've come from, including my long-abandoned little intro screen, if you actually want to learn about that keyboard, you should probably watch the newer video. The third milestone is the video that helped me achieve monetization. Now, for those of you who don't know, getting monetized on YouTube, at least at the time, required 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. I think it was changed recently. In early 2022, I had plenty of watch time, 17,000 hours. There was a lot of people watching the content, but I only had about 800 subscribers. Then I saw a product announcement which fell perfectly in what I have since deemed the Goldilocks zone. Let me explain. When you are reviewing products on YouTube, there are only so many potential viewers for any given product. You could have the absolute best review ever of a keycap puller, but even at its best, there's not that many people that will click on a detailed review of a keycap puller. So I might be the only one covering the product and get 100% of the views, but 100% of a small pie isn't really that much. On the other end, there are products like major cell phone releases, popular headphones, or the latest gaming mice that have a lot of viewer demand. For those, even getting a small slice of that pie could be substantial. So naturally, you'd expect that in order to achieve the most success on YouTube, you should just review the most in-demand products. But there's another factor at play. How many other channels will cover it? See, when the new iPhone launches, everyone and their brother wants to talk about it. But the problem is that not many people are going to care about my video when Marques Brownlee is also going to cover it. Not to mention the fact that he'll get access to it earlier than me, so I'm already at a disadvantage. So his video is going to be earlier, let's face it, better, and we'll have more name recognition behind it, so I really don't stand a chance. So the Goldilocks zone, as I like to call it, is that area where the product has enough interest to garner substantial views, but there's not enough for the biggest channels to cover it. I managed to find that zone with my video on the Logitech Logi Dock, a unique new product from a major brand that wasn't flashy enough for a big channel to care about, but one which I could talk about confidently as a specific member of the target market at the time, a working corporate professional. The video took off like I had never seen before, straight on a rocket ship, and was enough to officially start earning some money for my videos. More recently, I've been able to find myself on the other side of that coin, getting access to some products earlier than most people, and I have a couple of lessons here as well. First, the Logitech MX Master 4 launch last year was one of the most successful periods that this channel has ever had. I was able to get the product early from Logitech, which was awesome. However, they didn't come to me. When I saw that the MX Master 4 had leaked online, I decided to shoot my shot, see what happens. I wrote an email to the Logitech email address that's on their website for media purposes, introduced myself, shared some of my prior work on Logitech's products, referenced the leaks that were out online, and expressed my interest in reviewing the mouse, assuming that it actually existed. To my surprise, they responded and agreed to send one over. The ability to get my videos on that product out early helped me to compete in one of those much larger pies, and my 3 long-form videos that came from it managed over 700,000 views collectively, putting them up there with coverage from much larger channels like Hardware Canucks, Switch and Click, and Short Circuit. This year, in 2026, there was another similar experience with the release of USB cables from Linus Tech Tips. In this case, they actually did reach out to me. The early coverage that I provided as a result was one of the first detailed looks at the cables, and the videos did really well as a result. The lesson here is slightly different. It's about how they found my channel in the first place. I'm very small in the grand scheme of things. Now, I was aware that LTT was launching cables, though I had no idea when they were actually coming out, and I also never really thought to reach out to them in the way that I did to Logitech. However, a year prior, I made this video about USB cable frustration and attempted to help people find one that suited their needs. At its heart, I was addressing some of these same pain points that LTT was attempting to solve through cables with better specs and clearer labeling. The video got over 100,000 views, which I think is a lot for a video about USB cables, and I am willing to bet that that particular video is a big reason why LTT reached out in the first place. So the lesson is to think about how you can position yourself in order to succeed. Create videos about the topics that you're interested in, learn along the way, try to provide value to the audience, and eventually that content can get noticed by people who are further along the journey than you are. Finally, I have to talk about the impact of shorts. Now, I really don't like shorts from a YouTube viewer perspective, hence why I made this video right here, but feeling that it was necessary to continue to grow the channel, I leaned into shorts a bit more in the last 12 months. I evolved my unboxing videos to include more detailed sort of mini reviews, highlighting the details of the product in what I hope is an interesting way. That would include this Anchor charger video, for example. I also use shorts as a way to answer questions or provide quicker information that doesn't really warrant a full video, like this one identifying the trackpad that people saw in Logitech Options Plus on a few of my videos. Finally, because shorts are very weird, you sometimes just have an unboxing set to music for an iPhone case that pops off as well. I still have no idea why this video got so many views, but all three of these shorts examples that I just shared have over 1 million views, which is just crazy to think about. All right, now let's do a little Q&A. I asked my YouTube audience and my Instagram followers for questions. I also will answer some from comments on other videos. If you missed your chance to get a question answered, feel free to share one in the comments below for this video, and I'll save it for next time. To start, @dflow32 on Instagram asks, if you had to start a YouTube channel in another category or topic, what would it be and why? This was actually a big decision point for me at the very beginning of this journey. In addition to tech, I had one other significant interest that is also a large YouTube niche. Can you guess it? If you guessed personal finance, you're right. Now, I have an accounting degree, I worked in public accounting, and I took personal finance very seriously from the beginning, thanks to some very good core principles instilled in me by my parents. Now, if I chose to make a finance channel, it would have been because the potential impact to people's lives is much greater. However, I chose tech because, first of all, it's just a lot more fun to talk about tech. Talking about really cool products is definitely a lot more interesting than deep diving into index funds. Plus, the risk of a mistake is much lower. I don't want to waste your money, but when you're recommending a keyboard, that's a lot less risk than telling somebody what to do with their life savings. Now, is there irony in encouraging people to spend their money on products rather than saving their money through personal finance tips? Yes, absolutely. And it is something that I wrestle with regularly because I don't want to be someone that just sits here and promotes rampant consumerism. And I try to avoid that by giving you every reason why you may not want to buy something that I review. I also try my best to avoid saying things like, you need this, or really encouraging you to buy anything at all. My goal is to provide all the good things, all the bad things about every product I review, my assessment of the value for the money, and then if you decide with all that information that you're ready to make a purchase, an affiliate link that you can use as a way to say thank you. But please remember, always live below your means and save money for the future rather than just spending all of your money on fun gadgets. After all, you can't sleep on a keyboard. I guess you could if you had enough of them, but you would need a lot of keyboards, and it wouldn't really be that comfortable either, unless they had really good gasket mounts. @Cornerala asks, can I ask why you need to travel a lot for work? Because I do hear a lot of YouTubers saying this to make their job seem more important than it actually is. All right, this one was not from a Q&A request specifically, but I wanted to set the record straight. I don't currently travel for my YouTube work, so I'm definitely not just trying to build myself up in that way. I'm on a very small budget, so this studio is basically all that I can afford. Maybe someday I will be traveling around to conferences and events and different collaborations, but not today. What I'm referring to when I talk about work travel is all of my life pre-YouTube. I worked for one of the big 4 accounting firms in the US. I was a CPA working in their audit practice, which had me driving around locally to a number of different clients. After that, I spent 5 years working in their consulting practice, once again going to clients, but rather than locally, it was nationally instead. My particular specialty was Workday financial software implementation. Like 2 people out there just had their ears perk up at that and everyone else had a blank stare. Totally fine. The details aren't really important, but these were long 1 to 2 year deployments where I would regularly fly in Monday morning and then fly back home Thursday night. The most dramatic of those was a full cross-country commute between Philadelphia, where I lived at the time, and Portland, Oregon, where the client was. And I once had a particularly busy period where I made that commute every week for 15 weeks straight. So I share the anecdote about work travel to build some credibility, but I do have the metaphorical scars from a ton of legitimate business travel to back it up. @Dimboomp asked what essentially amounts to a follow-up question here. What aspects of consulting do you find yourself relying on the most that you weren't expecting to be relevant in a YouTube channel? There's definitely a lot of things that carry over. I said that I implemented software before. I've had a ton of fun making a Notion database to manage my videos, my inventory of products, and my expenses, for example. That's made life a lot easier than it would have been otherwise. But the number one carryover by a mile is just knowing how to conduct yourself in a professional manner. In consulting, or really any type of customer service, you need to be able to speak clearly and to write clearly as well. Now, as a YouTuber today, a lot of brands will reach out to me via email. And on more than a few occasions, brands have sent mass emails to a group of creators, likely intending to BCC the group, but accidentally sending it to everyone visibly. Then some of those creators, who will 100% remain nameless, will reply all, not realizing that they're sending it to 50 plus other creators. Not only is that annoying on its face, but it also has shown me just how short, impolite, and sometimes just straight up rude people can be with these brands. Now, at the end of the day, I definitely answer to you guys more than I do to the brands who offer to send me products. But at the same time, I know that a please and a thank you goes a long way in life, regardless of where you are. And I'm going to attempt to try to treat someone representing a company, often in China, probably messaging me in a second or even third language, with as much respect as I interact with all of you. So I'd say that my days in consulting taught me to communicate professionally and to respect people at all levels of the organization. Even when you are stressed, tired, and everything feels harder than it should be, being kind is always better than being a jerk. What I didn't expect was how seemingly low that bar would be from other creators around the space. It explains why some brands seemed to be a little bit shocked when my emails to them were considerate and courteous, and I think it is a big reason why I've been able to get so many products sent to me for review, which has allowed this channel to be viable up to this point. Which is a good transition, because Manish MG3994 asks, how can I get some products for review? This question carries through from much of the themes throughout this whole video, so some of this will already have been said, but if you want to review products, start by reviewing whatever it is that you have on hand. Even if you think that people might not care about those, it gives you an opportunity to practice making good videos. My early videos were absolutely terrible. You can go back and watch if you don't believe me, but you do get better with time. If you do have some money that you're able to spend, try to find products in that Goldilocks zone where there's a large enough appeal, but not so large that every creator will want to cover it. For example, I've reviewed some of Logitech's absolute cheapest mice available. The number of times I get comments that people are thanking me just for covering that, because it's not the absolute top of the line that everybody else covers, shows that people are looking for that type of review. The other tip is to make sure you have a public-facing email address on your channel. As you upload videos, brands are going to just reach out naturally. Now, if you are not hearing from the brands that you want, but you think you have the video quality to cover them, then you can try reaching out just like I did. Just don't do it too soon in that process of getting better with every video, because they might just write you off and you don't want to come across as annoying. Finally, when you do get brands that are interested, be picky. The first brands that reach out will likely be the ones that are most desperate. They'll be brands that bigger creators probably didn't want to cover for one reason or another. You can absolutely find diamonds in the rough for sure, but you just don't want to be known for reviewing total junk. So do some research before saying yes. Now finally, we have some comparisons. First, Jerry Rig Everything is a legend, so being compared to his silky voice is an excellent compliment.
Today in front of us, we have an unreleased smartphone that you were never supposed to see.
Back again to look at another competing option for Logitech's latest portable mouse. This is the Dell MS700. These comments were the first time that I have ever been compared to Max Verstappen. I think I look like him a little bit more post-jaw surgery, so I can kind of see where it's coming from. Finally, the big one. My voice has been very frequently compared to the lock-picking lawyer.
I'll admit to being a bit disappointed with the changes I'm seeing from Kwikset recently in their padlock lineup.
It's Logitech's latest presentation remote, the Spotlight 2. Now this is admittedly not the type of product I normally review. Now personally, I think that we have more in common with our cadence of speaking than anything else, but I can officially confirm that no, I am not his son, but I do also like his voice, so I will take it as another compliment. That does it for this round. I am ambitiously targeting 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you made it this far and you are not subscribed somehow, you should change that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.